In episode 5, the next day, Jason B brings Leighton to the box so they can continue his training. Leighton's really excited about this multiverse, but he does ask Jason, why do you need my money? I mean, you could just go from world to world and pull off bank robberies. And Jason says, no, that's not the way it really works. Serial numbers vary from world to world, so if I bring in money from another world, it could be looked at as counterfeiting and I could get caught. Look, Leighton, you need to be super careful about every decision you make. That box could be a one-way door for you. Right before they actually go in the box, Jason reminds Leighton that it is the utmost importance you're always honest, especially with yourself. What you're feeling in that moment is going to dictate what you're opening that door to. Leighton says he understands. They go in the box, they take the serum, and next thing you know, they're in the corridor, opening up doors, and Leighton is giddy. As they open up doors and doors, Leighton's getting more and more excited until he turns to Jason B and says, hey, I got an idea for another world I want to visit. But they're running out of time. And Jason reminds him, I got to get us back to our world. I've got like 12 more vials of the serum, and I still have to take us on one more training session. After that, I'm going to leave you with 10 vials of the serum. Leighton asks him if he can get more, but Jason says, in theory, but I'm not a chemist. The whole process is really costly. It takes a little bit of time. And Leighton cuts him off and says, when our training is done, I'll pay you $1 million for every single vial that you send me off with. That is one hell of an offer. When Jason B gets home that night, Daniela, though, is pissed. She's still upset about the car, quitting the job thing, missing the time with Max's birthday. She's frustrated, and Jason B apologizes for everything and is agreeing to open up to her regarding any questions she has. He tells her all about this investment. He tells her that it's with Leighton, who she knows, and he tells her that it could be worth millions of dollars. After answering all of Daniela's questions, Jason knows he needs to get more of those vials, and he knows a place he can get it. He goes back to his world. He used the box, but it sets off alarms in Velocity. The one doctor that's on duty that day is shocked because here comes Dr. Desser, and she didn't expect to see him maybe ever again. And he literally is stopping by to grab more vials and then head back to where he was. While grabbing it, though, he does notice there's blood on the ground, and when the one doctor makes her way downstairs to ask Dr. Desser if he's going to stay or not, he asks her what happened here. And she says that another guy that looked just like him showed up. He and Amanda went in the box. Leighton followed. With the information, he just heads back in the box and heads back to Jason A's world. And when he gets there, Leighton's waiting for him. He tells Leighton that he got 50 vials for him. Leighton is ecstatic. He asks Jason B, after you train me up, then what? And Jason B says, you're on your own after that. As for me, I'm going to seal up this box, but don't worry. I'm just sealing up this box. The other boxes will be completely open to you. So that's what Jason B is planning on. And that means Jason A doesn't have a ton of time to make this thing right. And Jason A and Amanda are just trying to still figure out how to correctly use the box. They think they've got it down, but when they open it, the box is in the middle of the ocean, so they get completely soaked. They're lucky to even be alive. It forces them to have to dry their clothes and make small talk just to kill time as they wait for their clothes to not be sopping wet. Jason A tells a story about his mom dying in the hospital, but the candy bars that he really liked in the machine. And when that conversation dies out, he asks Amanda, who was the first person to go missing from the box? And Amanda says her name was Blair. She was our lead engineer for the box. When that serum wears off, they're back inside the box and they open it up to see what world they're in. And it looks like Velocity, but nobody's there. And the more they dig around, it looks like something happened there. Not only is the power shut off, but you've got a dead body in one of the beds. And as Amanda is discussing what would have had to happen to put protocols in place like shutting the elevators down, the power, they get stopped by someone with a shotgun. But Amanda recognizes her voice, and that's because it's Blair. Blair, the one that went missing from Amanda's world, the first one in the box, has ended up at this particular Velocity. And she's been there for a couple months. They fill Blair in on exactly who Jason A is, what Jason B did to him, all of it. And then she takes them up to the control room to show them what happened at this Velocity facility for it to look like it's deserted. She plays a surveillance tape of herself But it's another version of herself coming through the box and bringing with her these giant hornet-like animals that basically consume the planet. They multiplied at a rapid rate, and when you look at the live feed of outside the facility, these things are everywhere. She has no idea what they are. She just knows they're very dangerous, and the people that did survive, they're not really seen anymore. They're probably staying inside, like she is. What Amanda can't figure out is what Blair is currently doing in this world, because she's got to have extra vials. I mean, they're at Velocity. The extra vials have got to be laying around somewhere. And a frustrated Blair says, well, whoever survived probably took most of them with them. Look, I have my own vials. But the more that Amanda pushes, the more frustrated Blair gets until finally she snaps and says, look, I'm not getting in that box until I'm ready to get back in that box. Do you understand? Amanda recognizes she's probably got to give Blair a little bit of time to calm down. And once she does, they sort of pick back up the conversation. Blair tells Amanda she doesn't understand why she went in that box. She asks her, what exactly are you going to do if you do find Jason A's world? I mean, there might already be a you there. He has a family at least there. And Amanda, quite frankly, hasn't even thought about that. She's just been trying to survive. Blair gets super deep with Amanda and says, you're not just homeless, you're worldless. And the longer you stay in that box, drifting from one place to the next, the more you're going to crack. I know it just feels like this started, but time isn't on your side. You have to start figuring out what kind of world you want to end up in. And the most important thing is you do what's best for you and not Jason A. Amanda changed the topic because she does feel guilty. Her whole job at Velocity was to train people like Blair for situations, and seeing Blair and seeing the conditions she's in, she feels like she's failed. But Blair says, no, I went in there on my choice. Stop with this self-blaming crap that you're doing. I'm fine. Right before Jason A and Amanda head back in the box, Blair gives them her journal that she's made for all the worlds she's traveled to. She feels like it might be able to help. The last bit of advice she gives them is the fact that it seems like it's just so easy. You focus on a world that you want to go to and you connect to it. But no, it takes so much more than that. Everything intrudes. Fear, stray thoughts, subconscious desire. She admits that with all her training, she could never control the box. Jason A and Amanda then get in the box, they close the door, and Amanda once again starts beating herself up over the state of Blair. She feels like she's ruined her life. And what she really can't figure out is Jason B, because Jason B was able to control everything, and he could have stopped all this. Jason A, though, tries to make her feel better by just telling her a different story about his decision with Daniela, about having a family with her, and then eventually the two take the serum. He's going to try a new theory after what Blair said, and that's just writing down what he wants. Feels like that could possibly help because it's hard to write something down and think something else. And initially, it seems to have worked. When they open the box back up, it looks like Jason is back in the warehouse where he was taken, and he's really excited. But the more they get into the heart of Chicago, the more they realize that this isn't quite the Chicago that Jason left. Jason doesn't seem to notice it at first, but Amanda definitely does. And that's because Chicago, and probably the world, has been struck by a pandemic. The streets are completely deserted, and when Jason gets to his house, he knocks on the door and Daniela answers, but she is very sick and shocked to see him. Because as she tells him, they took you away. You were dead. A couple of military figures show up. They test Jason A and Amanda, make sure that they're not positive with whatever this sickness is. And then they go in the house to test Daniela, and they come back out and tell Jason she's got maybe a day to live. And they give him a morphine pack to end it quietly. It's really tough for Jason. He doesn't want to end Daniela's life, but he knows that in order to have a chance with his own Daniela, he has to do this. Seeing his wife like that was just not very easy, and when he leaves that world, he's a little shook. Amanda feels like this is a good example of the subconscious, because just a couple hours ago, they were talking about Jason and his mom passing away. And clearly this was his big fear, was that his family would die of some disease just like his mom did. She feels like this could end up being a good thing because that world taught them a lot about how the box works. So they try again, and when they open the box back up, it once again is in the facility where Jason was kidnapped. But when they go out Chicago this time, it looks like the Chicago that Jason left. People are in the streets, cars are whizzing by. Unfortunately, though, it's not quite the Chicago that Jason left. When he gets to his house, he's able to get inside and he grabs a knife, assuming that Jason B will be there and he's going to have to fight him off. But Jason B isn't there. Daniela is, and she's terrified. She yells for Charlie to go to the neighbors, and then she grabs the phone and starts calling for 911. The whole time, Jason A is trying to explain, Daniela, it's me. I'm your husband. But when she gets the 911 dispatcher on the phone, she says, my ex-husband is here. He's holding a knife. He's supposed to be in jail. And that's when reality hits Jason A that he clearly is not in the world that he actually left. He apologizes to both Charlie and Daniela for whatever that world's Jason did, and he knows he has to leave. The cops, though, they're on their way. So in order to get back to the box, they're going to have to find safe passage. They can't just walk the streets. And Amanda figures, well, I know where to go. We'll go to my mom's place. And that's when it goes from bad to worse. Because when they get to Amanda's mom's place, well, it turns out, in that world, Amanda had passed away. So Amanda showing up at her mom's place, her mom is basically seeing a ghost. Amanda recognizes this pretty quickly. She gives her mom some really nice words, says she's doing better, she's in a better place, and then she steals her car, and then they get back to the box. They then get back in the box and get ready to try it all over again. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.